Oh, palm trees are swaying. There it is, the logo. Cali's Finest. With your host, yours truly, Chris Plus. Welcome, everybody. Of course, Cali's Finest on the 10th of every single month, right here exclusively. On the Wrestling Chatter YouTube channel. Subscribe to, folks, what it says right here. Like, share, comment. Again, subscribe. The more subscribers we get, the more great content we can bring to you. Speaking of great content, my guest this time on Cali's Finest, the one and only Jason Redondo, San Diego native, San Diego, California. Also known, we're going to talk a lot about this, enhancement talent in the WWE, WWF at the time, known as Brian West, going against stars like The Undertaker, Bam Bam Bigelow, Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon, and the list goes on and on. We're going to talk about how this guy got started in professional wrestling, some of the legends that he has very interesting stories about, along with Jason Redondo, one of Cali's Finest, right here, on Cali's Finest. Jason Redondo, right here on this episode of Cali's Finest. Welcome, my friend. Good sir.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah, you know, talking about Cali's Finest, I mean, you're on that list. And, you know, we're going to talk about what made you want to be a wrestler in the first place, some interesting stories with some legends and yourself. One of the early ones here in SoCal, Danny Monchichi Ramirez, a shout out to him, but he goes way back. He's one of the first. People don't know this, but he started reffing even before Patrick Hernandez. He started in 1992, but you, good sir, you take the cake on that one as well. You started wrestling way back in 1991.
Oh, yeah. I actually started training in 90. It's kind of a weird way how I got started. You guys want to hear? You want to hear what made me want to be a wrestler?
No, we don't want to talk about wrestling on this show.
Hey,
I'm very curious.
Well, I was a big wrestling fan my entire life, but I had a strange event happen to me when I was like 15 years old. I was trying out for my baseball team in high school. Actually, I wasn't quite, maybe I was 14 and a half, whatever, ninth grade, whatever that is. And you have to get a physical to play sports. And they found out that I had a hole in my heart, in one of the valves in my heart. And doctors told me if I didn't have surgery, the valve could get worse. And they actually told me if I didn't have surgery, I might not even make it to my 30th birthday. So,
and this is in ninth grade. You're finding this out.
I'm finding this in ninth grade.
And what year are we talking?
86-ish.
Okay.
I think. I can't even. I graduated in 90, so subtract. Okay. Yeah. High school. Yeah. So, anyways, they said need to have open heart surgery, and this is kind of a story that I hid for years. So, when I was in the hospital. The doctors knew I was a big wrestling fan, and my first room right after surgery didn't have TV. So they found out my doctor came in and said, "Hey, what's the matter with you?" He goes, I told him, I said, I can't watch my wrestling. I don't have TV. So he was this arrogant doctor, and he moved me to a room. He said, I want him into a room. I want him to watch his wrestling. And it was there. He sat bedside with me, and him and I watched AWA wrestling. And I watched this one wrestler on AWA wrestling, and I said, I talk to God a lot. So I said, God, I want to be a wrestler just like that guy. So 3 years later, when I turned 18, I started wrestling with I was being trained by Jesse Hernandez. And
we had Cali Finest.
Oh yeah, he's the best.
Mm-hmm.
And but when you first start training wrestling, you think, oh man, here it is. I'm gonna make tons of money, and
right.
It's you get a lot of riding in the back of trucks for a few hours to wrestle in front of 6 or 7 people, and if you're lucky, you get $5. And but I always question, am I doing the right thing? I even did shows. It's funny, I always bring this up. I always question if I was doing the right thing. I did shows with Chris Jericho back in the day in the early 90s. And I remember getting paid in hot dog. Him and I got paid in hot dogs and nachos. And
right before he hit it, right before he started to hit it.
Right. We were in Bay Area wrestling together, and then we wrestled in like a LA area together. But
I crossed paths with him. I just want to interject. I crossed paths with him. We have a couple things in common we'll get to, but I crossed paths with him at the Groundlings Improv. I did the improv at the Groundlings, and he was actually on one of his stints where he wasn't with WWE. He was like honing his craft. But please continue.
Yeah, what was weird is like, all these, the first couple of years I thought, am I doing the right thing? Was I supposed to be a wrestler? I mean, we all have that, it's like seeing crowds of, like I said, 6 people. You drive 6 hours to make $5-6, and you just wonder, am I doing the right thing? So I was fortunate. I was able to do WWE at an early age, but I was, I was still wondering, am I doing the right thing?
Now, and, we're talking, just to let the fans know, WWE, WWF,
yes,
you were enhancement talent. Brian West, enhancement talent superstar, Brian West, and I was actually there for one of your outings, man. Unfortunately, another shock up in the L on the loss column, man. I was really rooting for you. Thought you had some strategy. Thought you were, because I saw you go against Bam Bam. I thought possibly you'd use your speed, your quickness, and take the big guy. But he got the victory. I was a bit of an underdog. You were. Lost a little money because the odds were so good for you. But no, I'm kidding. But
yeah. It's funny. I'll sit there and watch that match, and I see you like in the, I don't know, in the front row or what, but I see you yelling at the camera. It's funny.
Yeah. It's just such a coincidence. Like I was at that taping, and it was 4 hours of jobber after jobber after jobber, and for some reason, your match is like the camera guy got right up to me and you see me go, boo. We'll put some stills. Well, I'm pretty sure we'll be able to put some stills up here of that match of you and myself.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
So
but oh no, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, please going back to where you were talking about that.
So I was fortunate. I got to wrestle like Scott Hall and Yokozuna and Bam Bam Bigelow and the Nasty Boys. Wow. But one day, one of the days we were going to Arizona, and I thought, I started questioning, am I doing the right thing? I was young. I said, and like I said, I like to talk to God. And I said, God, am I doing the right thing? Show me something. So I get to Arizona, and I'm sitting there. You're waiting to see who you're wrestling. And I'm kind of just wondering. And I see Scott Hall pointing at me. I said, I wonder what you feel like a nobody when you in my situation.
So at this point in time, Jason, you're asking God, you're questioning yourself, is this the right thing? And you're enhancement talent, but you're even saying this when you're in WWF, you're saying, hey, is this what I should be doing? Right. So you get to Phoenix, Arizona, and then yes. You had another taping. Okay.
Yeah. And then I see Rene Goulet come over to me after talking to Scott Hall, and he goes, yeah. He goes, I'm going to put you with Shawn Michaels tonight. Try not to hurt him. Well, going back to the story, when I was laying in the hospital bed with all the tubes in me and stuff like that, Shawn was the guy who I watched in the hospital who made me want to be a wrestler.
Oh, wow.
So I kind of believe maybe God answered my question, and maybe I am doing the right thing.
Right. Interesting. So, yeah. And you said something about Scott Hall pointing at you, or was that Scott Hall you said, or no?
Scott Hall, yeah. Well, another story with Scott Hall. I got to work with him in San Diego, my hometown of San Diego, and it's kind of you're waiting to see. I know Rick Sadis. Do you remember Rick Sadis?
Brian Boyer, Rick Sadis, so sexy Rick Sadis. One of the best.
Yeah, he wrestled him like he wrestled him like a few nights like maybe the night before or something like that, and I thought, oh man, he chopped the heck out of Rick, but I guess he had broken fingers, so he didn't get to chop me. But anyways, I found out, I was wrestling Scott Hall, and a little intimidating, big guy and stuff, and he couldn't be any cooler to me. He just took a liking to me, and when I got back from the curtain, gave me a big hug, and awesome, awesome dude. To where, fast forward to that match in Arizona, he actually told them, he goes, after I came back from wrestling Michaels, he met me with a hug behind the curtain. He goes, I told Rene Goulet you would have a good match with Shawn Michaels. So he set my match up with Michaels. So
wow. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
So he vouched for you. And speaking of Sadis went against Scott Hall too. And in Long Beach when you went against Bam Bam.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So talk a little bit about, getting back into great story about Razor Ramon. Thank you for sharing that. When did you, Rick, you're from San Diego, one of Cali's finest. And, when you got in the business, you started training in, you said 89 or 90?
90.
About 90.
The
okay.
end of 90. Yeah.
So you've been all over and you've been, when did you start to like make a name for yourself in California on the circuit? Like, when did you start getting good bookings and all that stuff to where people, started taking notice?
I almost want to say after the WWE stuff. I think that helped, even though it's,
Sure.
enhancement stuff. I mean, I remember getting bookings and people saying, "Oh, I saw you wrestle this guy. Or, I saw you wrestle that guy this morning," and it helped. I mean, people like, "Oh, you one of those guys who, enhancement." People don't use, they use the J word, job. Yeah, they use the J word. But hey, man, that helped us, man. It helped us get work. I mean, we were hanging out with, remember Louis Spicoli, and people knew him as a jobber, but then he kept going, and then he got his his thing going, and unfortunately he passed away at a young age. But he was the one who kind of gave us hope, and I mean, but it was after those WWE tapings, those helped a lot. I mean, just being our faces being put out there, and being seen by millions of people.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, but you kind of surpassed that a little bit, I feel like, because then people started to get to know you, not as just the jobber. You started working all over the place, and you started making a name for yourself, primarily in this part of the country.
Well, I was blessed, but I got to work with guys like I said, I brought Rick Sadis' name up, and wrestling guys like Larry Ludden, and really close, like a brother to me. And I don't know if you remember Scott Cole, but all those guys that were ahead of me, I got to work with them and learn from them. And people wanted to see more of those matches, and they got those same matches got put on bigger, cards, and that's what helped.
What was your greatest angle, storyline that you were ever involved in, and maybe your greatest match or opponent or feud that you recall, and what year was that? Would you say?
I've been fortunate to where I've got to work with a lot of good guys to where we had good things going. Like when my early part of my year, I wrestled Larry Ludden a lot all over California, it seemed like, and we didn't really have like storyline, but just our matches were so good. But then I think of like when I used to wrestle SoCal Crazy, to where it was like we had this thing going on for like almost 2 years, and finally it kind of culminated in a cage match to where he beat me for my SoCal Pro title. And but it was like a year thing that built up. I mean, he each time missed, beating me for my title, and finally he took it in the cage.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the more prominent leagues that you've worked for other than WWF, of course? Like,
I got to
one of
wrestle in the NWA. I wrestled the Blue
yeah.
Demon for the world title.
And what year
Uh,
was it?
I want to say that was like 10 years ago. I want to say 20, might have been actually about 2010, actually. So maybe about 12 years ago.
Okay, so that was the son of Blue Demon.
Yeah. So I was still SoCal Pro champ when I wrestled him. So
SoCal
yeah.
Pro. That's right, Jeff Dino
Yeah,
and all the whole
yeah.
crew down there in San Diego.
Yeah.
Good outfit, and man, that's SoCal Pro is one of those leagues that's got like Jesse Hernandez. That's just got that longevity.
Yeah. Yeah. Then there was the California Championship Wrestling, the different versions. How many different versions have there been California Championship Wrestlings? You know, there was.
I was in one of them, SCCW, Southern California Championship Wrestling. Did you ever go through SCCW?
No, I never did. It wasn't, not that I didn't want to. It just never happened, I guess.
And UIWA or were you associated? Were you friends at all with Gary Key, who became Tool in XPW?
Oh yeah. When I first started training, I was training with Gary a lot.
Yeah.
Him and I would always drive together. And,
IWF, Simi, he was running shows for a while.
Right. I never worked for IWF, but yeah. But I do know Gary though.
one of the greats, man.
Yeah.
And how about Jesse? Did you did much with Jesse? No.
I did when I first started, but it wasn't EWF at the time. It was like he used to run shows out of San Bernardino Sports Arena. I don't know. Remember that old building with it was from the movie Body Slam.
Yeah,
the movie with the Roddy Piper in it, and then
San Bernardino, or they call it the Master Dome.
Yeah,
and we ran one show there with XPW, and then we're like, okay, never again. Like, I just think I just don't think we promoted well. I don't think it was the venue or anything. But anyway, I've been there. Yes, I know.
Yeah.
Have you wrestled up in Bakersfield, up at the old Strongbow Stadium?
No, I got to wrestle at the Cal Palace.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I did the Bay Area wrestling.
Yeah, Bay Area wrestling.
That's where I started. Those were my first 3 matches, Bay Area wrestling. I had never been on an airplane until they flew me up there, as a kid.
No kidding, man.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so talk about, it must have been a lot of pressure, because you're not only are you just starting, you're getting flown out there. It's got to be a lot of pressure at that point in your career to, I got to get this right, got to do the, get it right and all that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was funny, but Bay Area wrestling helped me a lot. I mean, my first matches were on TV. Most people aren't fortunate enough to say that, but it was cool. I'm bringing up Bay Area wrestling. Like I told you, I got to see guys like Crash Holly was there, Jericho was there, but one that if you don't mind me talking about her, but one that stands out is Mae Young. And what's funny is
I want to hear this story, please.
Oh man, what's funny is for some reason I was at a young age, and I was always the one who got stuck in the car with Mae Young when we got picked up at the airport. Okay. She lived up there, and none of my buddies wanted to ride in the car, and I was like, how come I always get put in the car with Mae? And I don't know if you knew this, but she was a tough lady. I mean, there were stories of her going in the bars, beating up dudes. She was stretching guys, all this stuff. And I would always complain. I jokingly complain, I would say, hey, why do I always get? And she would always say, like, oh, just get in the damn car, you pussy, something like that, something like that. And I had a buddy, my big Samoan buddy, James, and him rest in peace also. But him, he was about 360 pounds, and she would be driving, and she would run red lights and cut people off and flip people off. And he's a big 360-pound guy, and I was about, I was a little bit smaller than I was, about 220, and we were screaming, and she goes, quit acting like girls, in the car. And I don't want to sound like some tough guy, but, I've been in some shoots. I've been working in bars and bodyguard and stuff like that. And I've only had one black eye in my life, and that's from Mae punching me in the eye. And
no kidding.
Yeah. It's in a match. I wrestled Frankie Valdez, the Spanish Hitman, and Yeah, May punched me, and I punched me in the balls like 4 times. And
Oh.
what's funny is I thought, man, am I the only one that she did that too? But I saw the Jericho match. She does that to him too, so I didn't feel as bad after that.
I mean, how do you retaliate? You can't punch
Yeah,
her in the nuts, you know?
yeah. But what was funny is the hotel that they always put us in always had it had a Denny's in the parking lot, and she would sit with my buddy James and I and just talk wrestling and tell stories. I don't even think I said a word the entire time. I just listened to her talk, and I don't think I learned more. And I just, it was she was such a classy person to me anyway, and a friend. But I was fortunate, like many years later. Do you remember the sitcom Nikki? It was on the WB as a wrestling sitcom.
No.
It had like Kevin Nash on it occasionally. Well, anyways,
Okay.
Moolah.
Oh, I think I vaguely remember what you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was on like about 6 or 7 episodes, to where May was on one of the episodes, and I hadn't seen her in like 10 years, and her and I just talked like it was like we were best friends the entire time, and it was pretty cool. And then the last thing I remember, the last thing she ever said to me, I was telling her, I was having my son, and I was going to be a dad and stuff. The last thing when I said, she gave me a hug goodbye, and she whispered in my ear, and she said, I'm so glad that you're growing up to a beautiful young man. And that's the last thing she ever said to me, and that's the last time I ever saw her. And like I said, it was it was the best. So she was the best.
That if there's ever anything to say, the last thing to hear from someone, I don't think I could think of anything more that I want to hear.
Yeah. So that's
Thanks for validating these stories that a lot of us have heard about her. Like you're giving it that kind of like that official stamp of approval. So that's great stuff, man.
Yeah.
When you were okay. Another thing we have in common is that both of us have crossed paths with Roddy Piper. Now, this is ironic that you just said that about being the last thing you heard from Mae Young. I happened to work with Roddy Piper 3 weeks before he passed away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we were filming a pilot up in Point Hueneme. We were using the NWA's TV stuff, and we filmed the pilot. It was going to be called Classic Wrestling Revolution. We already got a deal with Apple TV. It was myself on play-by-play, and he was the color guy. And I got to know his son, got to know his wife, and all his kids. He brought them all. He was a total family man. He paid me a very humbling, almost like I can't believe it, compliment after we were done with the announcing and all that. And so I actually went to Europe. I was going for a family vacation for about 3-4 weeks. In the middle of that trip, I look on CNN, and I was in Italy, and I see Roddy Piper, professional wrestler, passes away. And I'm like, this is worldwide news. I was just with him. I'm set to go back and continue this work with him. I was devastated, man. And I got to all that, his family, everything. But I'm thankful that I got to know him, before he passed. And he was a class act too, man. He was cool. He was just a real deal. You could tell that he never forgot like where he came from at all. Like totally never forgot where he came from.
Right.
But you have a story too we both crossed paths with your wrestling hero, man, Roddy Piper. And
he was my wrestling hero, definitely. The first time I ever met him, what's funny, when you're growing up, these guys are bigger than life, especially me at a young age. Roddy Piper was bigger than life to me, and I had my first match on a Friday night I was 18 years old. I got back to my gym in San Diego, and I saw him at my gym on a Sunday morning. I guess he was in town. He was filming remember that show Silk Stockings?
Yep.
Back in the day? And I had to say something, even though I was kind of nervous. And, for some reason, I don't really get nervous around people, but for some reason I was with him. And I go, hey, Mr. Piper, I just had my first match the other night, and you know, I was kind of like, and oh, cool. Kind of not, you see him on TV, he's got a little animated and stuff like that. But I don't know how he was with you, but he was a little, oh, cool, like kind of quiet. And I walked away like after speaking to him for about like 10 minutes, and I thought, wow, I just talked to Roddy Piper, and next thing you know, I see at the gym, I see him pointing at me, and he's like, "Come here." I thought, me? I was like, he wants to talk to me. He talked to me for like half an hour, whatever, like telling me the business. But I remember him, the last thing when I was about to leave, he put his finger on my chest, like he's and then he goes, him and I are face to face, and he puts his finger on my chest and goes, "Congratulations, you're now one of the boys."
Whoa.
And I thought, oh, wow. And I told, I couldn't even, I called my brother. I told everybody. But throughout the years, I always tell people he was my friend, but because he would always act like he was my friend.
Yeah.
Even he probably didn't even know me, but he would always like, hey, how you doing? How's the family? And like all that stuff. And even like when I saw my son and I saw him at Comic-Con, he was like, hey, same exact thing. How's the family? And this is your son? And, like I totally treated me like we were friends, even though, be honest with you, he probably didn't know my name, but I always say my friend because he treated me like a friend. You know what I mean? So, that's my, they say don't meet your heroes.
Yeah,
I was pretty fortunate to meet my hero when I met Piper.
That's definitely not always true. As
Right.
a matter of fact, it could just make that experience even better, man.
Right.
Yeah, it can put your hero now he's on the stratosphere at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of those guys for sure. I mean, like you said, I could just imagine him now, like when we wrapped up that day and he was just talking and introduced me to his family. It was, man, dude, it was, I mean, that was rough, man. I'll be honest, dude, that was rough because not only him dying, actually, I just got to know the real him, the person,
right,
and his family. And we were like, dude, we're set. Him and I are going to be working together now. Like that was also, that sucked, but it wasn't the sad part, of course, with him dying and leaving his family behind. But
I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying what you're saying, how you're describing him is exactly what I was feeling and experiencing with him, getting that good feeling with him, but back and forth.
What I was going to say. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
it's
one of those things. It's one of those things like, I think I've had like maybe like friends or family members that have passed and it didn't hit me as hard as when he passed away for some reason, and it sounds horrible, but it just, it was like you said, it was devastating. It was kind of, I mean, I was, I was tearing up, the whole time.
Yeah. I was in Florence, Italy. And then when that happened, I just went into my bed with the hotel we were staying at. We had like maybe 4 days there. And we were kind of hopping around Europe. And I just like, my family had to be like, hey, look, Chris, I'm so sorry this happened. You got to get out. You got to get up. You're only here once. I didn't feel like going anywhere, man. Like, and I was in Italy, and it was like just unbelievable.
Right.
Dude, good tributes to Mr. Roddy Piper. And of course, a lot of you people watching, thank you, by the way, for watching this. I admire Roddy Piper, but we'd like to just kind of share these stories that you didn't see on TV. You saw the character, and we're here talking about the real people right now. So I hope you can kind of get something from this as far as stuff that like you and I, Jason, are privileged enough to have met so many of these people and have been one of the boys, and that's what an honor, Did you know when you were a kid, and again, when did you first really start liking wrestling? Like, how old were you?
I was about 10. What's funny is it's kind of weird. I wasn't homeless, but I had to bounce from relative floors. I had to sleep on floors from, And one Saturday morning, I was at my grandmother's sleeping on the floor and watching an old black and white photo. And this is before WWE, WWF was on USA Network. They had a Southwest Championship Wrestling.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
yeah, I think it was run by Tully Blanchard's dad.
Right.
And,
okay, that's right.
And I go, what is this? There was a couple guys called the Invaders wearing a mask. They were the tag champs, and they were facing Gino Hernandez and Tully Blanchard for the titles.
Yeah.
And I go, what is this I'm watching? And next thing you know, Gino accidentally hits Tully, and they're the baby faces, mind you. And for people who didn't know this at the time, and he accidentally hits Tully, and Tully's getting mad. I go, why is he getting mad at his friend? So Gino and Tully end up beating the Invaders for the belts. I think it was the Invaders. Well, anyways, they beat him for the belts, and they're celebrating. Tully turns on Gino. I go, how's he doing to his friend? How's he beating up his friend? They just won the belts. And Gino comes back, and I was hooked. I mean, I was sucked in from that. Like, how does a friend turn his back on him just like that?
Yeah.
And it was an accident, and I was like, yeah, but I was sucked in ever since then. And then my mom would, oh, go ahead.
Please. No, please continue.
My mom, my brother and I ended up talking to my mom, and she would take us to, when we were small, WWE matches, WWF time. And I remember Andre the Giant walking past me and seeing Jimmy Snuka jump off his shoulders, and it became an obsession after that.
So you really got to experience that that second golden era of pro wrestling, which, the 50s is the first, the 80s, mid 80s, and that chunk is considered the second. And then I guess the third golden era would be the Attitude Era kind of time. But you really got to experience that. I'm a little younger than you, not much. I mean, we're 4 years apart, I believe. You graduate 90, I'm 94. So, but anyway, you went, now your mom took you to San Diego Sports Arena?
San Diego Sports Arena.
Okay. So that was just the equivalent of when I used to go to the LA Sports Arena for the WWF, and, seeing the same lineup and all that. Did you end up going to any shows in Los Angeles? Like, did you come up for WrestleMania or anything like that?
No, but I did, my dad brought my buddy and I up to, we had to see the Ultimate Warrior Undertaker casket match. I don't know if you
a body bag match, I think.
Body bag?
Wasn't it? Okay, are you talking like kind of circa summer of 91?
I believe so. Yeah. Was it a cat? Yeah. I thought it was a casket match, but maybe it was a
I thought it was a body bag. Well, throw a comment, Cali fans, fellow Californians or Angelinos or whatever. Throw a comment if you remember that. It was the LA Sports Arena. It was kind of like one of those, like 1 or 2 or 3 house shows after WrestleMania 7, which was at the Sports Arena, LA Sports Arena. And yeah, throw that down, please, because that's interesting. Little California WWF history. A little quick story. I was about 14, 15 at the time. And I had a sign. It said, I love the Undertaker right out the gate. I'm like, oh, this guy's awesome. So I even though he was heel, I remember I had a sign, Warrior rest in pieces. And pieces was all like chunks of the letter. And then I had on the back of the sign, it said IRS, please, what's the hands begging, lower our taxes. And I'm like a 14-year-old kid thinking like, I don't pay taxes, It's all right. And I'm just like, I look back like that was the greatness, the tongue in cheek that I got so early and loved it. Did you feel, Jason? I talk about this a lot on Cali's Finest, also on Extreme Memories, which, by the way, fans, is on the 15th and 30th of every month, and of course, Cali's Finest on the 10th of every month. But take this moment to thank you, fans. Subscribe if you haven't done so; it really helps us out. Share this video. Throw a comment down below. Did you find it like when I first started working in wrestling, of course, it's in California, SECW, a little bit of Slammers, and then XPW came and pretty much kind of exploded. But I got a sense of pride and excitement when I was realizing, okay, now I'm back here. I'm on this side of the curtain. I took that. It was like a almost like a metaphorical. The curtain itself was a metaphor for what this whole business really is about. You know, it's about the kayfabe, and we don't see that as much anymore. But it was like, oh my gosh, I'm on this side of the curtain. This literally now is a dream come true. Because when I was a kid sitting in the audience, I was hooked, because I don't know about you, but I was like, how does this all work, man? This is awesome. I remember we went to the Forum to see Laker games. We went to the Sports Arena at sometimes to see Clipper games. But then when I was sitting at this LA Sports Arena, I would look around to the fans. And I remember we were driving home and my mom's like, hey, are you okay? Everything fine? Like, well, yeah, why? And she goes, well, you weren't watching the wrestling. I'm like, I wasn't? No, you kept looking at just all the people. And that was the moment when I was like, I'm looking at the people at the Laker game, looking at the people at the Clipper game. And then I'm looking at the people at wrestling and I'm like, gosh, the same amount of people, and they're reacting the same way as they are to a choreographed thing as they are a real sport. And that just fascinated me. And I'm like, okay, that's what I was focused on. And I thought it was just beyond fascinating.
Oh, I do that same thing.
Yeah, please. No, I was done. Thank you.
No, I do that same thing wherever I go. I just love the people's reactions, and I wonder, if this was a wrestling crowd. Like, I watch different crowds. Like you were kind of saying, like, Padre games or whatever, but you're talking about being on the other side. It's weird. I just started wrestling when I saw that Undertaker match.
Okay. And, yeah, right. That's when it started. Yeah.
Yeah. I just started wrestling, but I wasn't. But anyways, just a few years later, I'm going backstage, and I see the Undertaker reading the Wall Street Journal, and I'm thinking, I just got sucked into this storyline of the dead man, and then I walk backstage, and he's just like a normal guy reading the Wall Street Journal, just waiting for it to see who he's going to work with, getting ready for his night, and. But anyways, but getting back to the crowds and stuff, man, I just love, watching crowd reactions like you and it's just, it's a little, I don't know how to explain it really, but it's like one of those, being on this, what am I trying to say here? It's just, you just feel, you can feel the emotions, like I tell people, like you got to watch it, to understand the wrestling. I hope I'm getting this point across, right?
Please.
But,
no, this is
but
good.
people, oh, you do that wrestling stuff. I said, you got to go and experience it, go sit in a indie show, go to a WWE show, and you find these people that aren't fans getting sucked up into it because they're with those different people. Just like if you go to any kind of sporting event like Padre game and the big home runs, and seeing everybody jump up there, you're gonna be that. Mine just happened to be, well, I mean, I get sucked up when I watch the Padres, or I'm still a Clippers fan, when they were down here. But anyways, but the wrestling, yeah. But even today, when my son and I will go to a show and stuff, I get sucked up into the crowd, even though I've been on the other side of the curtain. I just like to enjoy being a fan nowadays. And I didn't those years.
Yeah, I miss that, like I remember, tell me if you can relate to this or not, but like, again, being at the crowd in Long Beach when you wrestled and just having fun. I mean, I was a little older that time. I knew it was up, but I was still able to kind of have fun with the TV camera and getting on TV and just getting into it to the point where, but then when the dreams come true, and I wouldn't trade it in for anything, mind you, would not trade it in for anything. It's hard to capture that back again. It's not easy. It's possible, like you said. But it was like, it wasn't until like I was maybe 3-4 years into it, and I was loving every minute of it, being in wrestling. And then it was like, and then I pop in the tape of, let's say, Long Beach, right? And I see myself in the crowd. And that's when I realized, like, oh man, that's kind of done now, you know? And not
Yeah.
only that, not only the enjoyment factor, but I used to like, oh, let's go get on TV. Let's do this, that. And now, especially when XPW was running, it was like, oh, I really can't do that anymore because it looks, I have to carry myself in a different way, which I respect that. And I want to do that. And I would never, Jim Ross or Joey Styles or Michael Cole's not going to be like that, after they got their spot. And I knew that. And I that was fine. And I again, it was a fair trade-off to me because I was just living the dream. But I remember like, damn, I was so into it as a fan. And now it's like, oh man, I gotta separate the business because it's hard to go because I was in AEW. I went on, I checked their show out, and all that. And shout out to, I believe it was Luchasaurus who got me in there comp ticket. So thank you, sir. But anyway, it was like I couldn't get out of, especially that I know a lot of these guys in AEW. It was like it's partly I'm working. I'm like, this is kind of a wrestling show that I work in. Hard to separate that now in a way. It's hard, It's hard to go back to being that fan once you really kind of are part of that machine.
Yeah.
I mean, that's yeah, and you don't think about it when you're getting into the business. You don't think about that. I didn't.
Right.
You or no?
No, I didn't. It's funny, like you said, going back is it. I mean, to be honest with you, I could kind of find myself being a fan, but then I kind of wonder, am I supposed to be cheering? I guess you could cheer your guys. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, people got to know you're still, a fan at heart, but
yeah.
But
and there's also a weird stigma in our business that, like, and I get it, you got to be professional, but like, oh, you're not gonna mark out, are you? Oh, you're not gonna mark out. Oh, you're marking out for that, or you're marking out for yourself, and all this stuff, to the point where it's like we're kind of ashamed to be that fan back again. And we're the only industry that does this. Like if a basketball player goes to a game, or if a rock star goes to see another band, they're not going to get like, hey, you're not enjoying that basketball game too much, or you're not enjoying that rock concert. You're not marking out, are you? We're the only entity, pro wrestling, that does this. You know what I mean?
What's funny is I don't know if this is the same situation or not, but when I first started wrestling, when you met some of the bigger names and stuff, like I got to do shows with Hawk and like Dan Severn and stuff like that. People like don't take pictures with those guys. Act like one of the boys.
Right.
And I thought, man, okay. And then I looked back at my career and I thought, oh my gosh, I did. Obviously now Hawk was a big. I was a big Road Warrior fan when I was a kid, and I thought, man, I could have had a picture with Hawk. So now I myself as an adult at wrestling wanted to take my picture when I met Ric Flair and stuff like that. And people, I want to take pictures with these guys like Ric Flair and guys, that I get a chance to meet Fortune. And then people are like, oh, that's kind of a mark. I go, no, it's not. It's me, it's memories. I didn't get to do this, which I should have. My son didn't get to see me doing other shows, with these big name guys. He just hears the stories because I don't have the photos. Now I want,
Yeah,
maybe I am doing the kind of the mark thing, but still.
But again, it's like, why I always say, like, don't take yourself too seriously in this business. Do not, it's like, if you take to me, if you take yourself too seriously, you're just going to forget the love that you have for this business, and you're going to forget the reason why you love this business, and that 10-year-old you that wanted to be in, that's like, living the dream. And then you get in there and then you think your shit don't stink. Now you just eradicated that 10-year-old boy that loved this stuff. Now you're going to burn yourself out. You're going to you're gonna just have this ego war with everybody, and it's like you're just a part of this machine, man.
Yeah.
You're no one's the whole enchilada. I don't care who you are, because even the days of Hogan and all that, he's not gonna do what he did without that support of that undercard, because he needs that undercard to show that, oh, he's that much better than them. He needed his foil. It's like Larry on the Three Stooges. It's like Shemp, Curly, and Moe, they all stood out, but they stood out because they had Larry to smack around, and it's a foil. It's the Keystone Cops, Laurel and Hardy, all that stuff.
What's funny is you bring that up, but the lower card guys, I was such a big fan when I finally got to do my WWE tapings. One of the first people that walked by me was Barry Horowitz. Oh my God, that's Barry Horowitz! I just saw Barry Horowitz.
Yeah. He's got to be on the jobber Mount Rushmore, I would say.
Yeah, if there was I saw somebody, I don't know if it was Kevin Sullivan or somebody, they said they should put enhancement talent in the Hall of Fame, and I thought, oh man, maybe there's hope.
Well, I will tell you this, Jason, and I don't know if you are close with him, but we had right here on Cali's Finest, exclusively, of course, on the Wrestling Chatter YouTube channel, we had on Cali's Finest the great Al Burke, Mr. Outrageous.
Oh yeah, I teamed with Al before.
Yeah, okay, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And but he was telling all of us here on the show and everybody watching that he got word straight from the big office up there in Stamford that they're seriously debating doing a jobber enhancement talent Hall of Fame.
Oh, nice. You know what's funny is there's on Facebook. There's
you kind of said it as a joke, but it's actually this is a serious. They're thinking about this.
There's I think it's Old School on Facebook. It's called Old School WWF or Old School.
Yeah.
And I got Jobber of the Week like a few months ago. And I thought, oh my God, this is the best. I have my picture on there. I had people calling me, and I was like, oh, that photo still, even though it was so many years ago, it came back. What would
you put as your favorite match as a jobber in WWF? I say WWF because that's what it was when you were there, man.
Yeah. Either my Scott Hall match because the way he reacted and treated me, or my Shawn Michaels match because I believe I was the first one he ever finished with the Sweet Chin Music as a finisher.
Kidding.
Because if you watch the match, he gives me Sweet Chin Music, and he picks me up, and then he used to do this suplex, like a back suplex. I forgot what it was. And instead of giving me a suplex, he just kind of pie faced me and put me down from there. And he pins me, and then he started using the Sweet Chin Music after that. So
wow,
I guess that's my claim to fame. I guess
it's funny you say that because on the other hand, you were the first to do something. Our friend Rick Sadis, Brian Boyer, was the last jobber ever that the Undertaker put in a body bag. Remember, he would always put the jobbers in a body bag, and I guess Sadis was the last one he ever did that to.
I remember that body bag. Did you ever remember the Thrashmaster? His name was Scott Bazo.
I know the name. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I remember him telling the story how he got put in the body bag, and the Undertaker purposely walked by the fans, and all the fans were punching him, and he actually left him backstage zipped up still, and he couldn't get out for a while. So.
Oh, that's scary, man.
Yeah.
That's no. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they rigged those bags so they could breathe, but oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's a scary place to be, man, even if it is rigged up.
Yeah.
All right, man. Talked about Razor Ramon. When you got, let's say, okay, so cool story about, your mom taking you to the San Diego Sports Arena. I could totally relate to that. With my mom taking me to the LA Sports Arena, San Diego Sports Arena. To me, like when I was in, let's say, elementary school, everybody was into wrestling, right? And when I was in elementary school, it was that era. It was like everybody, 85, 86, 80, and then I got to junior high in 87, 88. And of course it was still hot. And then I came out of junior high at 90. And it started 90-91, and then it started to fizzle out a little bit. WrestleMania 8 was kind of like that last hurrah where my friends would watch it, but it wasn't like it used to be. Elementary kids, we like it. Junior high kids, it's still cool. Okay, now high school, nah, that's kiddie stuff. That's kiddie stuff. And then I was in high school with the crappy new generation, man, with 93, 94 and all that. So it was very uncool. But everyone knew me. Oh, Klaus, you're the wrestler, the WWF guy. Yeah, I'd give the teachers the elbow drop going through the hallway. It's silly stuff, man. And I remember thinking like, wow, I'm like, not only all these other kids are totally diverting from this industry as compared to what they were in elementary school. Here I am. I'm like getting more into it than I was then. I'm getting more fascinated with this stuff. Was that similar to your experience?
I was obsessed from elementary school, junior high. I mean, I was so obsessed. I played high school baseball. I wore a Ultimate Warrior shirt underneath my jersey the entire my junior and season. We were supposed to take batting practice in the batting cages at my school. I used to have cage matches, like full on cage matches in my school, and then. I used to just, before I knew it was work, I used to go around DDTing my friends when they were coming out of class and just leaving them laying.
Same, man.
So,
and it's like all of us have these similar themes, these similar stories about how I'm sure if all of us that we know in this business, we all go to our high school reunion, it's, there's the wrestling guy, Jason or Chris, we all have that.
Yeah.
It was just something that, I don't know. I'll speak for myself, but with my experience of knowing so many people in this business and even having this show, being able to talk to guys like you, this is awesome, man. And, but it's like, we all had that, we all just got it, And I think for me, I was like proud of myself that I understood this industry more than, everyone's like, oh, this is lame now. But I saw past that, like, well, I'm understanding this, and you're kind of not actually, even though you're starting to look at it like it's low brow. It's working you, like it works you at times, and so it was just like a passion, man. It's a passion,
It was. I mean, for me, it was just like whenever there was like getting back to like, I think a lot of those people, when they see it on TV, it's one thing, but when you experience it, like probably like you and I did, when you're in that crowd and you're getting a reaction from a guy that's, a wrestler, you get sucked up into it. I was obsessed. I mean, I remember my mom taking me out of school, so I could go meet the honky tonk man at she told him I was, I had a doctor's appointment, so I could go to the Tower Records across the street from San Diego Sports Arena, and I was the only one there. But I got to meet the honky tonk man and Jimmy Hart. And what's so funny is I got to team with him. Like, I don't even know how many times, but I could say that was my last match. Actually, him and I teamed together against, I forgot, maybe a guy, Anthony Idol, and I forgot who his partner was. That was my last match at the moment. But
oh, really?
But I've got the team with that years.
What year?
It was like 2 years. Like 2 years ago, pandemic.
Okay, so
Delmar Fair.
19 or 20, early 20, late 19.
I think it was 19. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, and again, I've teamed with him before.
Okay, cool. And yeah, we did that match with at SCCW. It was Honky Tonk Man and Uncle Jess.
Oh, okay.
You were close to him at all, or did you know him well?
No, I don't.
Uncle Jess Hansen. Okay. Anyway, he was just man, one of maybe the nicest guy I've ever met, man. Like, he was basically Santa Claus. Right. But it was Yoko and Uncle Jess versus, I'm sorry. Yokozuna and Cincinnati Red, the late great Cincinnati Red, right, and the late great Yokozuna going against Honky Tonk Man and Uncle Jess. And that was the last SCCW show before it kind of became XPW. it didn't really become it. It kind of unofficially became XPW, you know.
Right. Oh, I didn't know that actually. That it kind of went into
Well,
XPW.
it was when, I mean, we're this is not extreme memories, but we're talking about California. It was when Kevin, I at SECW, Darren, the late great Darren Dynamite D.
Right.
I don't know if you crossed paths with him much.
I met him a couple times. I can't really say I knew him, but yeah, I met him a couple times.
Okay, cool. And you know, we were flyering, and Rob Black was at the pond for that house show, and he had just had a parting with Paul Heyman. They were working together, and they got our flyer, and the rest was history. So it didn't really become that, but it unofficially kind of became XPW. And then that's when, boom, everything just exploded. It was like, oh, wow, borderline life-changing at the time, because there was no social media. There was no YouTube. There was no streaming service. If you're on television, you're on television. It was a bigger deal back then.
Right.
It was a
That's
bigger
the only
deal.
thing.
Like when you were enhancement talent, you know, that was before the internet boom, and people don't, I don't know if they understand, but young people, like, it's hard to explain to them how it was a bigger deal to be on television in those days than it is now. Because look, like this show, there's so much out there that it's almost watered down now to be even on TV in a way.
Right. Yeah, it's so nowadays it's so different, not just in wrestling in general. I mean, look how many people that are my son's buddies, like a YouTube, TikTok star, and people are stopping him for his autograph all the time. And he's never been on TV, you know. And nowadays it's not even the TV anymore. But getting back to that, man, I wish it kind of, in a way, when I started, there was no internet. You know, there was no, you know, and in a way, I think that probably would have been nice to have, but you know, maybe I would have went a little bit further than, you know, but I can't change when I started. I mean, obviously, I mean, but the era was just, I mean, I talk about it. These people know who the people I wrestled more than they do the current guys. I would think, you know, like, you know, so I'm pretty blessed to be at the time I wrestled, you know.
Yeah, totally, man. When are we going to see? You said it was about 2-3 years ago, right before the pandemic. It wasn't too long ago. Are we going to see Jason Redondo back in the squared circle? Oh,
man, I think so, man. You know, it's funny. I feel like I still got something in me, you know, and I live by the saying.
You look like you're in good shape still. You look like you.
Thank you. And I always live by a saying I heard. It said the last person that ages on somebody is their heart, and I still got it in the heart a little bit. You know, I might not be moving like I used to, but I still got it in the heart, and you know.
And so, you don't taking a philosophy from the honky tonk man. You don't have to move, man. You can do different things to get just as big or a bigger pop than the guy who's doing like 20 spots in a row, spot fest, you know.
Or you get a partner like Jason Redondo and take all your bumps and then come in for the hot tag and clean out.
Right.
Let Jason Redondo take all the bumps.
Yeah, right. That's exactly what it was with Yoko and Honky. Like they were in a tag match for a reason, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, man, you know, before we close out, Jason, first off, thank you again, man, for doing this. Really interesting, fascinating interview, and just really good stuff. If anybody wants to get in touch with you, if anybody wants to, or do you have any plugs, social media plugs, and any shout outs to anybody?
I just have, you know, Facebook, you know, Jason Redondo. I mean, the pictures, me holding a championship belt with my son, it's not hard to find. So I mean, I know there's multiple Jason Redondos, but that's pretty much Facebook, you know, and just I tell people just come find me, you know, and I, you know, ask for that friend request, and you know, and you know, I love to hear from people. I love talking wrestling. I talk to wrestling all day. If, you know, people like, do you ever get tired of talking about wrestling? No, I don't, you know, to this day. I mean, it's not, you know, as long as people don't ask me, oh, did you guys get hurt or something like that? You know, I don't want to answer that kind of question, but I could talk wrestling about I mean, I become that fan all over again. And I don't mind talking about people like that I've met. You know, it's
Great.
I was fortunate, and you too. We got to be fans, but we got to meet people that we would never think, bigger than life. When I told you I met Roddy Piper, Ric Flair, and each time I became that little kid each time. And,
you have to.
Yeah. And I love to share stories like that. So,
and thank you for sharing them, bro. This good stuff, dude. I had a question and it's blanking right now. Maybe it'll come back. Dang it. Okay, but no, man. Thank you so much for being here. Are you in San Diego still?
I am in San Diego, yeah.
Okay, and do you come? Were you primarily wrestling through your career down there or LA, or about the same, or usually just down there?
Well, early in my career, it was mostly like LA, and I did a lot more north. There was nothing down in San Diego.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
when I started, training, I had to go to San Bernardino to Jesse's, like in like the back of my buddy's truck in the rain, in the hail, just to get a ride. Excuse me. And there was nothing in San Diego. Now it seems like there's about 4 different schools here, and there's shows like every weekend around here. They didn't have that when I first started, or I would have been in heaven doing that stuff.
Well, it would be cool, man, for you to come up and check out some shows. Put over Puro Rasu. Find them on Facebook, Puro Rasu Wrestling, and they do shows in West Santa Ana and Carson. And in 2 days from now, it's going to be in Carson on the 12th when this airs. This will air on the 10th of June. And then MPW. I don't know if you ever cross paths with Paul Logan X from MPW.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's still going strong, man. He's the only wrestling company that's doing weekly shows on a regular basis every Friday night up in Chatsworth, San Fernando Valley. Man, 19801 Nordhoff Place every Friday night, 7:30 p.m. in Chatsworth. And if you're ever up in LA, man, check one of those out. Or if you're going to be in Pomona on June 25th for XPW's, it's already has returned, but another show that's going to be happening. But it'd be good to see you at any one of these shows.
Yeah, XPW. Eric Malikanian always tells me I should go to one of those shows, and he always sends me a text, bringing those shows up.
I mean, any one of these shows, it'd be good to see you out there, and probably get you salivating to put the trunks and the boots back on, man.
Yeah. I just got to go on one of those tours and just hit every indie show that, possible, because, you asked me if the wrestling's still in me. The fan is still in me still.
Yeah.
I still love to see like these young guys. And I always tell my son, you never know who you're going to see at these shows. I mean, I remember when like Samoa Joe first started, he was doing shows down here, or you just never know.
John Cena, man, like we were
John Cena, yeah,
the real deal, Damian Steele. Shout out to him, Tim, and it was him that left XPW because I don't know if I get this story exactly right, but he had to leave XPW because UPW in Santa Ana was the West Coast place that WWE would look at talent,
right,
and so. Hey, so everybody, even Rob, understood, like, okay, yeah, go do your thing, good luck. And he was in UPW. The scouts wanted to see him, and all this. And the new guy coming in, prototype, John Cena, and they were working a program together at the time. They were feuding, and then the rest is history. I may have left some stuff out here, but it was Cena that got picked up, And I remember I was at the Pond for a house show in like year 2000, right after Damian Steele had left, and he's in UPW. Now UPW would have a booth set up at the Pond, to promote it for the local fans in SoCal. And I go up to the booth because I saw Steele, and he left XPW. I was still in XPW. He's now in UPW. I was like, hey, what's up, man? He's going, oh, dude, hey, Klaus, come over here. And I'm like, how are things here, man? He goes, no, they're good, man. How's everything still in XPW? I'm like, oh, it's rolling, man. We're on, getting television, da-da-da. And he's like, oh yeah, well, this is the crew here. Oh, hey, John, come here, man. And Cena was there like showing off. He had his shirt off, just to get attention, and then the girls were dressed sexy and all that. But he goes, hey, John, hey, this is Klaus. This is John. I'm working with him. He's new. He's pretty good, man. He's got a good future. And then at the time, Cena goes, oh, hey, Chris Klaus, what's up, man? And because he was watching all the XPW and everything. And
right.
And it was just interesting how things unfold. Steel was the scouts. I want to say the scouts came to look and saw John Cena because they were already coming. If they were interested in Tim.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man.
So Cena knew who you were.
Well, yeah, because he knew who Damian Steele was.
Oh, okay.
And because he had, he was now living in SoCal, John Cena trying to be a pro wrestler. So XPW was on every Saturday night at that time, on television. Right. So, and maybe it was at the time it was whatever, but now you look back like, dang, man, but again, this is that whole thing when you're back behind the curtain, none of that is a big deal, really, like everyone knows each other. It doesn't matter how high up, low on the card you are,
Yeah. It's cool. Like you said, it's like, sometimes you're even shocked. I'm surprised people come up, hey, Jason, how you been? And I look at my son and after I didn't know I knew that guy. Right. You never know when you cross paths with somebody. I mean, we've done so many shows to where somebody was a wrestler or somebody was a referee or something. Or like even like on Facebook, someone will write, "Oh, Jason Redondo, I remember, this," and I go, "I didn't know I really knew that guy." You know what I'm talking about. But
yeah, no, but that story you shared with Piper, like that kid came back in you, that's maybe the greatest. I've done a lot. I've done at MTV, at XPW, now a ton of shows, been flown places to commentate. I'm very grateful. But in 2015, after I had done so much, when I worked with Piper, I came right back to that place in myself that I was just starting out and I was happy. And I was that little 10-year-old kid,
right.
Big time, man. It never went away. And that was kind of an awakening moment for me because I realized, it's never gone. It's always there. It's always there. And that's what, getting caught up with the drama and all the BS and wrestling. It's like, that's not what the 10-year-old us wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah. People are people. You get drama not only in wrestling, but in any job or whatever. So,
Yeah, like I buy these older shirts. I get these older shirts and
let's see that. Let's see what you got there. You got the Iron Sheik.
The Iron Sheik.
Camel clutch. What does it say on the bottom? Camel clutch what?
Just says Iron Sheik on the bottom.
Oh, I got you. Okay,
But I purposely wear a lot of this stuff. Like I wear there's 3 I wear. Well, actually 4. I wear Ultimate Warrior, Randy Savage, and Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
Because I wear Roddy Piper because I love when people, like my wife and I walk through Costco and people go, "Oh, Hot Rod," and I just love people like they'll tell me like, "Oh yeah, he was the best," and it just talking to somebody else who knew the guy, just it just feels good. And then I'll show him a picture of like me and him together or something like that, and
Same.
and it just.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go please.
Oh no, it's just like it just feels good talking about the good of especially in him, the way he treated me. I don't like I said, each time he treated me like we were friends, like for the longest time, and and he did that in front of my son, which was awesome too because I saw him at Comic-Con and he's like, "Hey, how you doing?" And him and I did a thing with I was doing a thing with Bob Saget a few years ago. It was Bob Saget's TV show, and I'm sitting there and I get this arm, put around like this, and I look up and I go, "Oh my God, it's Roddy!" It's Roddy Piper, and him and I talked about that at the Comic-Con the last time I saw him. But
what year was the last time you saw him? He passed in 2015.
I want to say it was maybe 2011.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, dude, so many great stories, so many great California stories. And Jason Redondo, sir, good friend. First off, again, thank you. Good catching up with you, brother.
Yeah, I'm glad the feed. I mean, we were cutting out at the beginning, but I'm glad we got that rolling after a while.
We
So
got a good production staff here at the Wrestling
yeah,
Chatter. We'll fix all that up,
it
man.
was probably on my end.
All good, man. It's yeah, we can't control the powers that be that are the internet, but and Wi-Fi. But no, man, good catching up with you, man.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you for having me. It was a right when you text me, I was like, I got to be on this show, even though I have to be to bed early, but I got to be on this show.
That's right, man. That's right. Well, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
And good catching up with you. You are one of Cali's finest for sure. Man, like I said, hope to see you soon, not just here on the net, but like maybe at one of these shows, whether you're in the ring or not. Please get in touch with me if you come up to La La Land, and
Oh yeah, definitely.
yeah, for sure, man. Well, thank you. I know you said your shout outs and your plugs, which is Jason Redondo on Facebook. Throw him a comment, fans, or instant message him, whatever. And thank you for joining us for Jason Redondo. My name is Chris Kloss, and this is Cali's Finest, which you could see on the 10th of every single month right here on the Wrestling Chatter YouTube channel. Subscribe today. It helps us a lot. It helps us bring more great content to you. Like, share, comment, and again, subscribe. YouTube.com/The Wrestling Chatter. This channel, Cali's Finest, on the 10th of every month. Jason Redondo for Chris Kloss. This is Jason Redondo over here. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time. Cool, buddy.
All right. Hey.
And the recording, right.